Greetings and God bless. In my area, the local library is suing to be able to have obscene stuff in the children's section. And they're also suing to remove any liability for the harms that sexualizing children will have. Like when you're grooming children to be preyed upon by adults for sex, that's never going to end well. Like children are children. Children are supposed to have a childhood. Children are not supposed to accommodate a perverted, mentally ill adult's sexual needs. But that's what the left wants to do, and liberals are too cowardly. And I've brought this up to some locals. Locals are too cowardly, and I've brought it up to pastors of churches, and they just seem like a deer caught in a headlight or dubious about it, even though this kind of thing is happening nationally, even though I show them that the library is suing the state for the right to for to remove liability for exposing children and grooming them. So, and the thing is, these aren't my kids, they're not my grandchildren. I'm new to this area. I'm like, this is wrong. And the people I've talked to, nobody seems to care. Like, no, like maybe one person said, good for you for saying so. One pastor like, but other than that, like, so the thing is, these are people who have bought houses, they're paying property taxes, they're paying the library to hire these activist, Marxist, LBGT activist, pro sex change operation for children type of employees. And the thing is, Blue Cross Blue Shield is looking to have this new income stream. This is a new growth industry. Brainwashing children to get sex change operations, because then you get a lifetime patient, lifetime of operations, lifetime of psychiatric medications, lifetime of psychiatric hospitalization. All this stuff is a growth industry. And so people don't seem to care, though. Like, I mean, I've mentioned this even to my peers, and not a whole lot of a reaction, because everybody's too busy, too overwhelmed with other things going on in their life, of course. But and I've been talking like about health stuff, talking about electromagnetic toxicity, dirty electricity that's harmful to our electromagnetic biology. And then with the stuff going on in 2020, where they were causing, saying we had to suffocate ourselves, breathe in your own body waste. And they were saying you had to break your crib form plate over and over again. Let's stab this knife into your brain, calling it a swab, calling it some type of test when you're causing little kids. I've seen photos of bleeding, just blood. And people did this over and over again, and then they injected all sorts of questionable liquids into their body. And I had friends tell me they hoped I'd die because I didn't even want to wear a mask. And I have had friends who are telling me this is how it's got to be. This is good. I'm glad that everybody's suffocating and getting swabbed and getting injected. And I, dear intelligent friends, refuse to look at the CDC information, at what Fauci said, or anyway. And so it's like, everybody that I'm trying to talk to, it's really their world, their children's world, their grandchildren's world, if anybody's going to be alive left, that I'm kind of, talking about. I mean, not to mention, I'm also talking about Jesus. We need Jesus right now. And, and the only, I guess, moral imperative for me is just that it's not right. It's not right to set little children up to be trafficked by your library, by your hospital. And that's what's going on. And I believe everything is some form of human trafficking. School is some form of trafficking. Somebody told me that yearbooks are actually just this trafficking. It's a brochure for human traffickers to select who they want. Before the lockdowns, so before everybody had to hide their identity, 2019 and before, there would be 800,000, almost a million children would go missing in the United States as of like 2019. Now, everybody has a smartphone. There's all these cameras everywhere. There's all sorts of Alexa. Everybody, we have this incredible infrastructure of surveillance on ordinary people, but none of that infrastructure was able to save any of those 800,000 children that would go missing every single year in the United States. And so imagine when everybody's forced to wear a mask, keep a distance, stay at home, what kind of thing goes on there? How much more trafficking increased? I'm sure it's 1 million. I'm sure it's over 1 million now. And the same people, the NSA and the trusted agents of the public good, I think they're all complicit. Whatever was left open during the lockdowns, like Walmart or the bars or whatever, I think they were involved. As much as I appreciate convenience stores and stuff like that, I think they must be some sort of hub for the main industry. What really makes the world go round, it's human trafficking. And I think hospitals are human trafficking. I think nursing homes are human trafficking. I think schools, I don't know what isn't some type of human trafficking, unfortunately. And I would include religions as well. I mean, it's a cliche with stuff that goes on in churches, Catholic churches, priests. It's like endless, hundreds, probably thousands of things talking about that. And yoga centers with gurus doing totally wrong things, stealing from everybody and molesting the women. And so, part of me is like, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to save people's children and grandchildren from the library grooming the children. And people are so naive. They cannot imagine the reality of what's going on. Like, they still haven't processed what happened in 2020. They still haven't realized that terrorists burned down the inner city of Portland, the city hall, and other places. And I think they were domestic. I think they were imported. I think they were trained Marxists. I think they were deep state government people. And these are just my opinions. So YouTube, AI, this is just my opinion. This is my observation. And also from watching videos and talking with friends. Like, I knew somebody who was in Minneapolis the night of the riots, and he said there was all these federal people around, like all these people in like black shirts and tan pants that had backpacks that were white that looked military. And so he was like, he was like, this wasn't a bunch of hoodlums. This was a professional operation. And yet it's interesting because he's all pro the whole situation. But, it's funny because it's like, I'm saying, hey, people, parents, grandparents, community, protect your children from this crazy agenda that is doing creepy things in other parts of the country, that's setting the stage to do it here, and they're suing for the right to do it here. It's to me, I'm like, don't wait until it's established. Stop it before it's established. When I was in South Dakota, this was when I moved there after the riots. I was in Virginia when the all these yuppies, all these upper class, Caucasian, privileged, entitled, ignorant liberals were carrying their signs, and it's and any kind of discussion, any kind of questioning about that, about suffocating, about pushing promoting BLM, but not allowing us to even ask about 5G, because during the lockdown is when all these 5 cheese towers went up. All these secret unmarked white vans would go up, and you would see all these towers with warnings. And that wasn't allowed to be discussed. It was only feel white guilt. That was the only thing that was allowed. And hide yourself, cover your suffocate yourself as penance for your skin color. So I moved to South Dakota because I thought it would be like there was all these, the governor at the time, like there was this hint about protecting our medical autonomy. And when I got there, I learned she totally did the same thing, exact same thing as Gavin Newsom. And now she's lying. She's saying that she didn't, but she did, if you look into it, but because she's a politician, if she's even a she. But so I went to South Dakota, and then there was like a Marxist, like there's like all these different flavors, because there were Marxists that went to talk to the Native people there, that telling them that they have to demand money from white people, saying that they have to demand reparations. They should demand reparations from ordinary people walking on the sidewalk. And I was just like trying to walk to the laundromat. I was trying to walk to the grocery store, and I have health issues. The weather is really rough in South Dakota. And also, I didn't do anything. Like, there was no moral reason to tell me I owe people money for what they think happened hundreds of years ago. It's not my fault. And but so it's like, but nobody was really doing much here. Maybe I'm still getting situated here in Arkansas, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of like awareness. There's just this spineless capitulation to the LBGT thing, to the the South is evil thing. We won't talk about it, but we know it's true. This kind of like shame, but well, this is this is our heritage, and I'm like, I feel like I'm fighting this single-handedly here, and I thought that Arkansas was the South. I thought I'd be like in a more Bible Belt kind of situation, and it's almost like worse than when I was in Denver or other places, because it's like there are churches. There's a lot of churches, a lot of people going to church, but they're not involved. They're not telling the library, what, like the library should stop suing the state. Like the library has no right to sue the state so they can have children be exposed to obscenity, and the library has no right to groom children for sexuality or for sex change operations. And so, the fact that I'm seeing so little response from the locals I've talked to, and, it's been a small group, but even so, I've provided them Xeroxed hard copies of documentation. I've done follow-up emails. I've met these people in person. Not getting any responses, any moral support. And so I'm like, why should I bother? Like, why should I bother trying to help you out? And I'm kind of wondering if that's how we have found, like, why we find ourselves in this way, because people are so selfish and so self-absorbed that maybe there were other good people that could have stemmed the tide for what we're in right now. And like their families were just taking them for granted, and their friends couldn't care less, and their, whoever just couldn't care, wouldn't pay attention, wouldn't make the slightest effort to support the good people of the past. And so, maybe they were like, yeah, like these people aren't worth saving. That's what I'm beginning to wonder, is these people may not be worth helping. Their children may not be worth helping. Their grandchildren may not be worth helping, because they're certainly not demonstrating anything to me. Like any kind of basic, just normal, like, response. Because you can't just leave it to one new person who just moved to your area to fight the good fight. You can't just leave it to one person to fight the perversity that's the coup d'etat of our government. Like, you should be like, oh wow, we got to look into that. That's a problem, you know. And everybody's just so cagey that I have talked to, and if they're not cagey, they're like the employees at the library. They are trained Marxist activists, and I think even witches practicing magic, black magic. And it's not just at the library; it's at any kind of place where that kind of thing would congregate, like the health food store, and probably maybe the university, but maybe not. I'm not sure, because I don't get the kind of toxic vibe at the university that I get at the library or at the health food store. Um, but yeah, it's kind of strange. And I've been somebody who will promote my own idea, solo and for years and not get any responses, and that's whatever. But like, I feel like I'm the only one who's concerned, and like, should I even bother if nobody else is noticing or cares? And maybe they deserve to have their children chopped up, like these like kids are. There's all these videos. There's just all these questionable, like, and I like, I can't harden my heart to allow innocent kids to be fed in the wood chipper of Blue Cross Blue Shield in the medical industry that's trying to get get the fad of sex change operations to be popular. Like I can't it's too painful for me. And though maybe all these horrors need to happen for parents and grandparents and people, community members, to do anything, to be aware, because that's I think, like, people are so sedated, whether they're on the psychiatric meds, recreational drugs, just overwhelmed, just trying to be this Instagram mommy or Instagram whatever person. And so they don't even know what they value. They don't even have a sense of priorities or self-preservation. Because that's what I noticed ever since, like, when the lockdowns, like 2020, happened. I'm like, these white people do not have any sense of self-preservation. They're just taking the blame for stuff that they had nothing to do with, and their ancestors probably had nothing to do with. And they were subjecting their children to this indoctrination, and their grandchildren, and just kind of pushing this ideology, as if like they, as if like some sort of weird toxic penance kind of a thing. Like, it was like this religious kind of thing. It's perverted kind of mentality. And I was like, and then with people suffocating themselves and doing these crazy nasal swabs, and then boosting, getting injections, and then boosting, and being so proud of putting questionable chemicals in their body and trying to force other people to do it. I'm like, where's the people's self-preservation? Where's somebody's natural protectiveness over their bodies, their children's bodies, their loved ones, just people at large? Like, I keep on saying this in my videos. It's as if people have been hijacked, like body invasion of the body snatchers. It's as if these people who used to be here are no longer inhabiting people's the humans that the bodies of humans that we were always interacting with. It's like we're interacting with dumbed down versions. And just also with the open borders, and people are so into that. And it's like, you know, like there's no way your taxes are going to support millions of people who have nothing here, so they're getting, like, I've heard up to $10,000 a month. Like, I've never made $10,000 a month. I don't know anybody who has, and so of course illegals are going to come here for that. And it's like, and it's conservatives that I've known, like, and I guess it's the Republicans in name only. They're like fake conservatives who are like, yeah, it's fine, it should be good. They're gonna do good. They're gonna so so some friends of mine have said, or one friend of mine was saying that things have to get really, really, really bad in order for people to wake up and see what's the problem. And I mean, the thing is, I think, if some of the stuff that happened was 2020, was in 2019, where people still, they weren't brain damaged, because people are brain damaged from those nasal swabs. People are brain damaged from having to breathe in their own body waste for years. People are brain damaged from questionable stuff injected into their bodies. So, and they're traumatized from the whole fear mongering and the what lockdowns, isolation does to people, and people like just being on the internet all the time, and believing all the fear mongering. Like, so the thing is, like, people who think that all this bad stuff has to happen to wake people up, they have faith that people have the capacity, like they're thinking people have the same brain capacity that they had in 2019, but they don't. Like, people are like kindergartners now. They're the people who are out there aren't even mature adults. They're not even really capable, or at least that's what it seems to me. Because how else could all of the bad things that have been happening be going? And you know what else is, people are getting bribed. I think people have sketchy jobs with these NGOs that's participating in human trafficking, whether it's in medicine, whether it's social work, whether it's whatever. And so I think people don't want to lose the gravy that they're making a living on by betraying this country, by being a traitor. Yeah, so it's like really a strange situation. It's a terrible situation to be in. And yeah, like who's out there? Who's paying attention, and who has, a sense of ethics and, classically intelligent morality and biblical morality, and has the courage to say something, and do something. And I mean, like, legally, like properly on paper. Because I haven't met these people. Not, or not that many. And yeah, I mean, and the thing is, every week, every month, some new crazy thing happens, and sets us back some more, And I mean, what more is going to happen? I mean, I think, like, the whole notion of space aliens, I mean, that's the only thing that's been missing, is like a direct space alien psyop. Because space aliens are not from outer space, they're demons, but nobody will ever say that. But yeah, I'm just not sure what to do about, like, do I just try to get more people to care? I think that's the right thing. And maybe the people who would be most vulnerable, maybe they would be jerky people. Maybe their families would be jerky people that may not even deserve to be safe from the trans, agenda. But even so, maybe, and that's another thing is like people are kind of, they're forgetting the lockdowns, they're forgetting all the crimes against Americans, against our Constitution, against morality, humanity. People, even people who knew that it was wrong, I guess they're beginning to forget or something like that. Everybody's burnt out and they just want to forget about it. And I'm like, if you forget about it, it's going to happen worse next time and soon, like, yeah. So I just want Jesus to return because this is complicated. This is so beyond my, you know, uh, just life experience, and it's like this is new kind of history stuff. Like, there's not a whole lot of role models out there that I can refer to. Like, I just don't know what to do or what to think. Because it's when wars happen and there's like an obvious enemy, and so you all can have solidarity because you're like, oh well, our opponent's evil or whatever. But here it's like the targets are jerky people too, and the enemy are jerky people, and neither is really worth my time. But even if evil people are attacking evil people, like I'm not going to just be like, oh, well, go attack the evil people. I mean, because I think it's as children, like children don't know. And unfortunately, it's children that's had children, like young adults who are having kids, they're out of their minds. They're not here. They're watching TikTok or playing video games or whatever, having this Instagram life and not even having an emotional depth or whatever. Yeah, it is such a mess, and it's not anything that we've experienced before, and it's overwhelming. It's just beyond my ability to comprehend what's going on in this world. And there's no it's like people who are aware it's a problem are burnt out. They don't want to talk about it. And then people who aren't aware, if you bring it up, it's just too crazy. It's too horrific. And that's the thing, is like the naive people are trusting. They're like, no one would set children up to be groomed. No one would set children up to be targets for trans operations. No one would set kids up to be trafficked. But like I said, before 2019, 800,000 children would go missing without a trace in America. So that is, stop being so naive, folks. Like, wake up. Don't wait until your kid is traumatized or chopped up or brainwashed, or at least that's what it seems to me. I just think, like, fix any weak links. Don't let the weak links break. Just, because there's plenty of kids who are getting through this because they have strong relationships with their family or friends or something like that. So I'm not saying like do anything crazy. I'm saying just notice and let the library hear what you think, and make it clear to whoever at the city, like the city council or whatever. Like, yeah. So very strange times we are living in, and folks, you got to stop being so naive. You got to stop being so trusting and stop being so lazy. And I know you guys are busy. Your house looks perfect. Your hair looks perfect. Your kids are going to piano and soccer, and yeah, you're so busy. But when when you're so busy with externals and lazy about like the foundation of what's being taught at your school or sketchy stuff that's happening at your library, like, you know, I mean, it's great you're trying to give your kid the best life, or you're trying to keep up with the Joneses and stuff like that. But, the Bible says, be wise as the serpents and gentle as the doves. And it's kind of hard because people think if you're wise, then like you're scary or something like that. Like I'm wise as a serpent. I'm trying to be wise as a serpent, and I'm being gentle as a dove. And yet people are freaked out because be expressing reality, like making your wise observation to immature people, spiritually immature people, culturally immature people, like they're afraid if you're wise. Because I guess they've just gotten by on being superficial, or just good, like looks or something like that. And yeah, it's really tough being somebody who has discernment. And I'm also verbal. Like if I see a problem, I'll talk about it. And unfortunately, even though I have documentation and stuff, people would rather ignore it. I think they would rather have their children and grandchildren be chopped up and just everybody like status quo. And that's really messed up. That's really sick. That's disgusting. And we saw that. We saw that with the lockdowns and what happened afterwards. Parents complying with children having to do all sorts of bodily augmentation to go to school. So I guess, I don't know, I guess we're seeing like how weak humans have become. And I guess that's, it's been my process. Like I expected more out of humans, out of Americans. And maybe it was the time period I grew up in New York in the 70s and 80s, because the most exceptional people were coming to New York at that time. And when I lived in San Francisco, there was just very exceptional. I mean, there was a lot more Americans that relocated to San Francisco. So now I'm interacting, I've gone to like the coast, trying to find, better places to live. And so it's all provincial, and it's all about, I guess, biding your time until your grandparents die so you can sell the house and make a lot of money and then do a new expansion of your kitchen or whatever. So it's I guess it's just a learning process of different parts of the country and the caliber of people. And people just want to be left alone. Like, so there's the people who are just concerned with consumption, and then there's people who want to be left alone, who see what the writing on the wall, what the problems are, but they're like out in the boonies because they want to be left alone. But when those people who actually have a brain cell and they want to be left alone, well, then they're not around to draw the line in the sand to tell the leftists stop. So then us fools who are in the city and have a brain cell but not very good at drawing a line in the sand, like we're like, there's something wrong here, but I'm the only one who sees it and will talk about it, And well, if that's the way it's going to be, then even the I want to be left alone crowd deserves to have bad things happen to them or their loved ones, because they abandoned the rest of us, like, and I understand wanting to be left alone, but this isn't a simple matter as like you want to build your garden the way you want. Like society is going to hell in a handbasket. rapidly. So all of you people who are like, oh, don't bother me, you know, I want to be left alone. You're needed, and you need to step up. You need to get involved. And I mean, just like, what's going on locally in your area, and like, just go to the city council meeting, or write an email to the library, or whatever it is that's going on in your area. Just like, you have no excuse. You can do a text somewhere, to something. It's like, there's like, I'm not saying drive 9 hours and whatever, find yourself in the first month of the year on the 6th. I'm not saying do anything like that, but just like, let people know that you're out there, and that you have an opinion that's different than the leftist narrative that's taking over the heartland of America. It's not just New York and Portland and San Francisco that's taken over. It's Montana, it's Virginia, it's Arkansas and South Dakota. I thought those places would be total, like, heartland, conservative, and then the leftist Marxist infestation is there, one way or the other. So, the people who just want to be left alone, you can't just expect everybody to face the music all by themselves, because it's just not how society is. Like, we need your input, and I'm just saying, like, I'm in a city here in Arkansas, and I'm like, I don't know anybody who okay, so there's people who are cynical, so they've given up, they couldn't care less. So, and then there's some people who think I'm too worried for no reason. And there's nobody other than me, or maybe one person, maybe two. So there's maybe 3 people in the city who are concerned about the LBGT and the sex change operation push here in this city. And that's like, do you think, the people who want to be left alone, do you think that's okay? Like, so it's just hard being, doing this single-handedly, and I'm not even doing a very good job, because I don't know the whole depth of it, because I've just been here a few months. But those of you who have abandoned America, you got to come back. You've got to, and I'm not saying, tear down your farm and your barn, and I'm saying just write a note. Like, it's very powerful. So yeah, so I know there's people, and I would have been one of them if I could handle being out excuse me, in a remote area. But I'm just realizing that a lot of really good people have cut themselves off from places where there's a lot of people. And so places where there's a lot of people got poisoned by just psycho, perverted, toxic people, competitive, just no morals. And then there's like kind of like dumb, nice people who don't know how to fight all these toxic people. That we don't know how to have boundaries. We don't know how to wrangle this. And the people who probably do know how to wrangle are have abandoned the world. And clearly we're not doing a very good job without them, And I'm talking about guys. I'm talking about, but there's been women too. Like when I entered the workforce in the early 90s, there was a lot of people leaving the workforce. They were leaving corporate America. Very nice people. And I think like things were beginning to go bad. Companies, I think, were just like providing less benefits, less good management or because a lot of good people are like, oh yeah, I'm starting my own business. I'm just going to be a freelancer, work from home. And I think it was like people who were really good people were just like, I don't want to deal with this crap anymore. And I totally understand that, but we are in a society, like we are in a human race and a human culture. And I mean, I isolate too. I do isolate, but there are some things that push my buttons and it forces me out of my shell, so to speak. And I just would like to see more people who care that are out there, like, because it seems, when I have had conversations with people, it seems like they totally are drinking the Kool-Aid, or they can't be bothered about the problem, or they're like, there's no way. They sincerely do not believe the problem is as bad as it is. And like, I'm not good at marketing. I'm not good at selling somebody even something I need them to buy, like my business, my stuff. Like, and then and here I am talking about like the worst thing ever, like child trafficking by your library, which is run by your city, like it's just it's a tough thing to try to educate people about. And I don't even want to be educating people, It's very, very tough situation. And it's a thankless situation. It's really kind of funny. And I'm just like, Jesus, please, please return, because I'm just not good at this. I mean, it's a problem. It needs to be stopped. But I'm not, I've written a whole bunch of like complaints and stuff to various people, and no real follow up other than the ACLU rejecting my request for help, because they're helping this library get to sue to not be liable for grooming children for sexual stuff. So, yeah. Well, even though people may not even be very nice people, and like it seems like humans are shells of who they used to be, it's still not right to manipulate little kids and set little kids up to be a new growth industry for sex change operations, of all things, like it's just so unthinkably cruel. Even if those kids are not nice people or whatever, like it's not even like, let's build log cabins as a new growth industry, or let's do something good. It's like chopping up little kids and messing with their hormones at an early age and messing up their psychology and stuff like that. It's just so despicable. So even though it seems like a thankless kind of a thing, I'm gonna still try to bring it up and oppose it, and I hope those of you who can handle these psychos, these bad people, I hope you get involved, and just say no. I mean, I don't even know what you guys do. Like, some people know how to handle bad attitudes, bad behavior, and I know the trusted agents of the public good will try to harm you if you speak against the mainstream narrative, So yeah, it's a war. It's a culture war. It's a war against American values, against Western values, against biblical values, and against human values. Because human values has a man and a woman and a child and a family and a community, and it's not like historically it wasn't blue hair, it wasn't genital mutilation. It wasn't anything like that. Those are artifices of cults and whatever. So, um, and if you talk to anybody who's not on drugs or on a psychiatric cult brainwashing, they will admit that to be the case. You know, so and I've had friends who dyed their hair crazy colors and had crazy haircuts and were doing all sorts of stuff, identity stuff, and but they weren't pushing it on children. They weren't pushing children to get sex change operations. And that's what's so despicable about this noticing, because kids don't know. Even 20-year-olds don't know what they're doing. Like a lot of the people you're seeing on campuses, they don't know what they're doing. They do not understand the greater implication, on humanity of what's going on, because they're kids. 20-year-olds are still kids. Even some 30-year-olds are still children. So these people who are activists right now, who are Marxists, who burnt down, Portland, and murdered, black on black murders and stuff like that. Like, they may have thought they were doing something right, or they were fighting against the machine or something like that, or just angry. Like, once they get older, they're going to be like, whoa, they're going to, if they don't die, you're going to be like, wow, okay, so things were not as they seem. So it's like, and that's why we have to like, you can't do anything drastic when you're in your 20s. You can't start burning down a city when you're in your 20s. You can't get in a cult that's trying to, destroy the establishment, like with fire and guns and infrastructure, and where you're getting paid. Like, if you are involved in overthrowing the establishment and you're getting paid, like a lot of the people that I watched videos about where they're when BLM people setting fire to cars or breaking windows, the ladies had like beautiful hair, like down past their derriere. Like, that is not somebody who had to work at Wendy's. This is a rich girl, because you cannot have great hair, beautiful lustrous hair, and you're working at Wendy's, or even working at a corporate job like that. Like, so there's all these like entitled rich kids that I think are like charismatic or something, and I think that's part of who's involved in all of this. And I think they're probably psychopathic. So if you're getting paid to destroy the establishment, you're wrong. Like, there's this quote, "Sorry, lefties, you think you're the Rebel Alliance, but you're really the empire." And that's the truth. Like, all these leftists are like, we're fighting the system. You are the system. The president wants what you're talking about. The government wants what you're talking about. The globalists want what you are talking about, lefty. So you're not fighting the establishment. You are the establishment. So here we are. And a lot of people, they get by, they do the status quo, and what they do is they're silent. They won't say anything. And so here we are with this crazy, creepy world that we're in. Everybody's just like, oh, well, I just want my lifestyle. I'm just, I'm gonna hold on so I can keep my lifestyle. And yeah, I understand. Yeah, of course, you gotta be able to survive. But I think you can even anonymously, say something and keep your lifestyle. But I don't even think there's a lot of that going around. So I'm just curious what's next. I think I'm going to say it's going to be, they're going to call it space creatures, which are going to be demons. That's because I don't know what else. Nuclear war. If nuclear weapons are even real, because we don't even know if that's real, because we don't know if history is real. So yeah, I think they're going to call it space aliens, but it's going to be demons. Because what else? What else could possibly happen next? Mexican cartels are, like there's all these things are already here in the US. It's like, what more bad thing could happen? I mean, of course, they're talking about a new sickness, and then they're going to try to put a new injection, and then boosters and lockdowns. So, folks, pay attention, and say what you think to when you're talking to your family members and friends and stuff like that. And we have to have a dialogue, stop just being silently and complicit with these crimes against humanity. Like with the German soldiers, they were told, what was it? They were told, I think, to like kill Jews in cold blood, like shoot people who were in the concentration camps. And those, only a few, some German soldiers says, no, I'm not gonna shoot these people. And they weren't penalized. They weren't punished. And that's like the same thing with, like, everybody was like, oh, I have to get the injection. I have to wear the mask because I'll be punished. And like, if you did it directly and in an informed, constitutionally compliant way, people weren't. They weren't punished. I mean, some people did lose their jobs, and maybe it was like, but at least they had their health. At least that, like, all those, they didn't drop dead. So what I'm trying to say is standing up for your, like, constitutional, basic human rights, common sense human beliefs. The satanic leftists don't like it. The satanic leftists don't like us thinking for ourselves. The satanic leftists don't like us believing what we see with our eyes. That the content of our character matters more than our skin color. Like the leftist wants us to believe they're garbage. The leftists expect us to regurgitate the narrative that they're shoving down our throats. But even though they don't like us to see the truth and speak to the truth, there's nothing they can really do. So just speak the truth, even if it's like some psycho family member. Of course, if they're violent, all right, don't say anything. But when your grandchild's like, I'm a frog, I'm a pony, and I identify as a pony, as a male pony, or something like that, you'd be like, no, you're my favorite little granddaughter. You gotta, like, fight this satanic hypnosis. And yeah, it's easy to go to sleep. It's easy to be sleepwalking. And yeah, life is hard. Life is crummy. But don't abandon the vulnerable people. Especially when you're capable, like, especially when you're good at this thing. Whether it's to speak up or set boundaries. Because like really, I don't know, some people are very confident, and they're charismatic, or they've got leverage, or they've got presence. And that's what I'm trying to talk to. It's just like, you guys, like, Speak up, say something. I'm not saying jeopardize your safety. I'm just saying say something when you're at the grocery store. Say something when the LBGT person is trying to browbeat you into some weird submission, guilt about being a husband or a father or a brother, or mother. Like, it's like we're in the worst, most disgusting mass psychoses that any culture has ever experienced. And the thing is, it's not even like that. To oppose it is not even very much. It's just say, no, you are your chromosomal gender. You are a human being, not a pony. But people won't even, they're so cowardly, they won't even say that. It's just pathetic. And I'm not even a very courageous person. So, anyways, hopefully this makes sense to somebody. Yeah, so just say the truth of your eyes and your ears and in your heart. And yes, there are people who are working through their emotions and their identity, and they get to do that, but they don't get to force it on little kids. And if you guardians of these little children don't protect these little kids, then shame on you. Like, God has punishment for you. So just protect your kids, protect the grandchildren, protect the children in the school. And I'm just saying, with your words, with sending a text or an email, like, hey, we're not going to mess with kids' sexuality and gender identity at school, at the library. It's not our job. Our job is just to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, and getting cool books at the library about whatever. And it can be about different things, but it should not be like the feature, the whole point of the library or the whole point of the school or the whole point of every day at class. See what I mean? I know this is long-winded, but I'm just trying to work my ideas out, because this is this strange situation we find ourselves in. And it's tragic. Like, look at all the videos about people having regret, like, and it just is even more tragic for little kids who are just like hapless victims in so many ways. So thanks for watching. God bless.